I don't really think I need to introduce Esther. She's already been a star on the screen. So Esther teaches journalism at Palo Alto High School, to put it mildly. So Esther.
Thank you very much. So I'm actually going to start with something that is not journalism. I'm going to start with the flipped classroom because I don't think any of you saw that video. And they are a really impressive group. And I don't know if anybody went to ISTE. Are you familiar with ISTE? It's the International Society for Technology and Education. They did a presentation there. And I just thought you might want to see what they're doing. It's a short video. It's like 2 minutes. And so we'll just start that.
I'm Aaron Sams, and I teach science here at Woodland Park High School. My ultimate goal, I guess, as a teacher is to help students become learners who can learn for themselves and by themselves. One of the problems that I was guilty of even prior to flipping my classroom around was the classroom was centered around me. I told them exactly what to learn, how to learn it, what assignments to do to learn it, and when to learn it, and how to prove to me that they learned it. I don't do that anymore. We changed the place in which content is delivered. Instead of standing in front of a class and delivering, here's how you do this type of problem, here's how this works, I deliver that direct instruction now asynchronously at home through these videos that we make with Camtasia Studio.
Times till whole.
Oh, we didn't do that last time.
The last step, they were already whole numbers. We had 1, 1, and 4. Here we don't have a whole number. So here's a few little tricks when you need to multiply by whole numbers. If one of your numbers ends in 0.5, you're going to multiply by 2.
All right, something 0.5 times it by 2.
Right.
Okay, write this down, guys.
Yes. If something ends in 0.3 or 0.33 or 0.66, you multiply by 3.
And when the kids come to class, they don't show up to learn new stuff. They show up to apply the things that they learned at home and to ask me questions about the things they learned at home. So now they could have my lesson, if you will, what I would normally have stood up and lectured to them in class with some added features. They get that at home, and then what they were expected to do for homework is now what they do in my class. Life is different for me because I no longer am the guy who stands up in the front of the classroom and just yaks at a student for an hour or however long the class is. Now I walk around the class and I help kids. I'm a tutor, I'm a guide, I'm the putter-outer of fires, whatever it happens to be in my crazy chemistry class. I walk around and do that. I don't stand up front and teach under the kind of the traditional model. I'm Aaron Sams. I'm a teacher, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and I love Camtasia Studio.
So I thought that was a really, really good way to start because my classroom is somewhat the same. It's flipped, and I thought that solidified some of the ideas that we're talking about this morning. So I teach journalism at Palo Alto High School, and I've been there since the early 80s. And so I came upon this method of teaching because this is what I got when I first started teaching at Palo Alto High School. So I was a brand new teacher, and you know what they give the new teachers? So I had 5 preps in 5 periods and a little cart, right? And I pushed it around the school. Boy, that was really exciting. And one of my preps was math, and another prep was journalism. And so I had my journalism students there, and, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue because I was a journalist, but I didn't really know how to use the system and the materials that they had. So I came into class the first day, and I tried to look like I was an authority, right? That was pretty funny. It didn't work. And so what I did is finally, about day 3, I admitted to them that I didn't know what I was doing. And this was kind of a real revelation to them. They're like, the teacher has said she doesn't know what she's doing. So then I asked for their help. And I said, can you help me? Because I had all this material that I didn't really know what I was using and so forth. And that was actually the beginning of my style of teaching, because all those kids basically helped me. They took over and they showed me how to do everything and so forth. But then it was really a collaborative classroom. That was the whole thing, completely collaborative. And my collaborators were my students. And so I was doing this sort of project-based learning in the classroom. and on a regular basis, and I was having them help me and so forth, and it was a very different model. So this, back in the 80s, this was not the accepted model. I don't know if you remember. So in comes the principal right after about a month and a half there, and the first thing they said to me is, "Your class is out of control. And I'm going to come back in 2 weeks, and I want you to make sure that that class is in control, because otherwise, you're failing as a teacher." So what was I going to do? I already set this whole thing up, right? So I said to the class, "Guess what? I just got a failing grade, and I need you guys to help." And so I told them what was going on. I said, they want you all to be in rows, sitting quietly, and only raise your hand when you want to talk. So 2 weeks later, the principal came back in, and the kids were like exactly what they expected. And I said, you passed, and now we can go back to normal. So that's how it all started. And so I see, in what I basically see is, I see technology as an enabler for me. It helps my students learn stuff, and then they share it with me. So it enables everyone, not just my students, but enables everyone to learn on their own. And so I expect them to learn on their own, and then we share what they learn. So, my theory is that technology basically enables sharing, and it enables them to become experts in all these different areas. And then they do a lot of interesting stuff, which you'll see. So this is what I started with in 1984. I started with 19 kids in the program and one small newspaper, the Campanile it was called. And today I have 6 publications. I have the Campanile, which is still the newspaper, I have Verde, which is a news magazine, Viking, which is a sports magazine, In Focus, which is a television program. Actually, there's 2 television programs now. I have a literary magazine, and the yearbook, which is actually not part of my program at all. But in that, you will see that I have now more than 500 kids out of a student body of 1,900. And all these kids are electing to take journalism. It's not like they are forced. They want to take it. So the question is like, why are they wanting to? So this is the newspaper. We've won top of the nation for many years. It's called the Campanile. And these are front pages from the Campanile. And this is the front of the lifestyles. By the way, I don't do anything here. This whole philosophy continues with, they do the work. They come up with the ideas, they do the work, this is their graphic design. I did not want to do this, be a picky eater. That's something that they are picky eaters. Okay, here's an example of the editors in charge. I have 6 editors, and by the way, in this class I have 72 kids in one class. And here is the In Focus program. That's the broadcast journalism program that I started in 1999 when the class was getting too big. Here's more broadcast journalism. This is the news magazine. Verde, founded in 2000, also won top of the nation, the first year of publication. All this is all student generated. So this is the online program. As you can see, first of all, I don't know if you can see it from here. This was a very big deal 2 years ago. They suspended 200 kids for throwing eggs. And the paper, we covered it. And actually, within a week, they had revised that down to 2 kids. And but it was an really interesting situation for everybody. This is the continuation. This is also the online program. Then in 2007, the program, as I said, continued to grow. In 2007, I started the Viking, which is a sports magazine. And this is the Viking. This is the front cover of the Viking magazine. And here's another front cover. They won first place in the nation for their story on hazing. They came up with this idea, again, all by themselves. Here's Viking website, what they look like. They have their own website. They decided they wanted to do that. So here's the Campanile class itself, as this is one of the classes, or this is the class itself. So actually in 2 years ago, the school board voted to spend $11 million to build the first media center in the, well, actually it's in the country for high school journalism. And it broke ground just a couple weeks ago, actually. It'll be done in 2012, 2013 probably. So what do? The number one thing I do, curriculum is, I have a curriculum that's relevant to the real world. They come up with their own story ideas, and the curriculum is about what they are doing in their own environment. I don't tell them what to do. They tell me pretty much what to do. Second thing, the kids share control of the learning with me. I do provide some direct instruction. So out of a classroom period of 90 minutes, for example, I will talk maybe for 15. The third thing is learning is collaborative. I make it really fun for them. Well, it is fun for them to work with their peers. So years ago, I used to think that kids came to class to see me. But then unfortunately, the truth set in, and I came to class to see each other. Okay, independence. They have a choice of what to read and what to write about. I respect their First Amendment rights. Here's an example of some of the things they've written about. Might make some people a little uncomfortable, but they've top of the nation again. The other thing, students feel really respected and trusted because they are respected and trusted. And they are on the cutting edge with digital technology for the most part, and they love being on the cutting edge. Here's the tools they use. Google Docs for word processing, all their stuff. I use Google Groups. I can access them, 24/7. I use Google Spreadsheets for keeping track of their assignments. And for grading, they grade each other. Use Google Forms for collecting feedback. I use Adobe InDesign for layout design, Photoshop for photos, Illustrator, and Picasso and Flickr for photos storage. And by the way, all this stuff they teach each other. I teach the initial group, and they all teach each other. They write styles that actually someone wants to read, not that just some teacher in a classroom has to read. Features, reviews, opinions, sports, news. The curriculum integrates. So journalism integrates the curriculum in no way that any other subject does. It integrates, you apply writing, interviewing, art, thinking, photography, computers, technology, all those things are integrated into the classroom. Social skills, deadlines, everything that Linda Darlingham talked about, it's all integrated in there. And journalism should be taught in all high schools in this country. It should actually be taught, journalism units should be taught in schools of education, so teachers are not afraid to teach it when they come into the schools. And the last thing right here is a video, another short video to show you about this, what it's all about. But what I wanted to say is that the whole thing, nothing in this program could happen if I did not think of myself differently as a teacher. I think of myself as a collaborator with my students. I don't think of myself as the sage on the stage. I always allow them to be experts, and I don't test. The test is really what they produce. The test is the newspaper. The test is really is what they can do. And here is this video, which I will show you. And let's. I don't believe that I really know everything. And I think that this is rather unique for a lot of teachers because some of them do think they know a lot more. But I don't. And so my attitude with kids is that we're in this learning together. And so I teach you, I might know a little more than you at the moment, but if I show you something and then it turns out you know more, well, you get to teach me. Not only that, you get to teach each other. So the whole program is set up on collaborative learning. The number one thing I teach is before you ask me a question, I want you to ask one of your peers and see whether they can help you before I have to step in. And what that does is it makes everybody into an expert of some kind, or they respect each other and they learn together. And so this entire philosophy goes throughout the entire program. They're really good. This is really thinking skills. It belongs in every high school in this country, in the English program.
Pally journalism has given me the ability to think critically. I'm able to, instead of just going into one idea, I'll take a step back, I'll think about all the different perspectives, I'll think about how maybe if I'm doing an interview, how will they respond to this, how might someone else respond to this, could I interview a parent, a student, an administrator, for all these different types of things. And so just in that aspect alone, I've been able to develop that critical thinking ability.
There's no way that you can call yourself a journalist and not know what's going on around you, which I think is one of the absolutely most important parts of being a part of journalism.
I improved in my English class tremendously from last year, and overall it just helps you with your classes and it helps you with writing especially.
So when my kids come into beginning journalism now, I say, okay, you're used to thinking about newspapers and everything else. Let me show you our news tool here. It's my iPhone, it's my handheld device. This is my camera, this is my microphone, this is my digital upload, this is my movie. This is where I'm going to type a story if I have to, but this is where it's happening.
I'm doing so much more with Twitter. This is the first year that we've ever done, we've ever tweeted stories from the field live, and it's been actually really great on events like when Obama came to Palo Alto.
The passion that I feel I probably have because it's echoing off my kids, it's bouncing on the walls. They are so jazzed up about the difference they can make, it makes me remember the difference I can make.
Thank you very much.